Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Picture this. You're out for a special date night or an anniversary dinner with the family. You've got the menu in your hand, ready to spend a pretty penny on a memorable dining experience. But what if I told you that your safe choice on that menu is the very dish a professional chef would never, ever touch? That the fresh soup of the day might actually be yesterday's leftovers? Or that your healthy salad is made from ingredients on their last leg? Or worse, that some popular dishes carry hidden food safety risks you're completely unaware of? In today's video, we are pulling back the curtain. This isn't just my opinion. We've compiled insights from a range of chefs and culinary experts across the country, the people who know the kitchens inside and out. They're revealing the 14 dishes they always avoid when they're dining out, and more importantly, why. This is about helping you order smarter, safer, and making sure every dollar you spend is worth it. The first item on our list is an incredibly common starter that probably 9 out of 10 of us have ordered before. Can you guess what it is? Let's get started with number 1.
1. Soup du jour. And the first item on our list, coming in at number 1, is the soup of the day, or soup du jour. It sounds innocent enough and special, right? A soup crafted fresh for the day, but according to the experts, it's a trap. Listen to Chef John Davis from the acclaimed City Grocery in Mississippi. He says, and I quote, "It's a crapshoot I'm not willing to take." He raises the critical questions. Was it really made today? How many hours has it been sitting in a steam well? And was it cooled down properly the night before to prevent bacteria growth? And he's not alone. The legendary Gordon Ramsay feels the exact same way. He would never order it. In fact, Ramsay gives a brilliant tip you can use. The next time you're out, ask your server, out of curiosity, what was yesterday's soup of the day? If they hesitate or say, it was the same one, that's not a great sign. But here's the biggest red flag. Ask about the specials from the day before. Let's say yesterday's special was a roast chicken and vegetables, and today the soup of the day is a chicken vegetable soup. That is practically an admission that the kitchen is using old, leftover ingredients to create a new dish. It's not about craft, it's about cleaning out the fridge. So next time, skip that soup. Your money deserves something genuinely fresh. Speaking of using up leftover scraps, the next item on our list is often seen as the healthiest choice on the menu, but you might be shocked at what's really in it. Let's move on to number 2.
2. House salads. And that healthy choice I just mentioned, coming in at number 2 on our list of what to avoid, is the house salad. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. What could possibly be wrong with a salad? The problem isn't the salad itself, but what it often represents in a restaurant kitchen. Sometimes it becomes the catch-all for scraps. Chef Suhum Jang of the renowned Hortus NYC puts it bluntly. He says he's seen restaurants repurpose leftover scraps from other dishes as salad ingredients. Think about it. The ends of a tomato, the offcuts of a bell pepper, the slightly wilted greens. It can all end up in there. As he says, it's off-putting. But that's not all. There's another secret to hiding ingredients that are past their prime. The dressing. The base greens might not be crisp anymore, so the kitchen will drown it, the lack of quality and flavor. You're paying for dressing, not for fresh produce. And beyond the freshness issue, there's a simple question of value. It's so easy to make a great salad at home. Why pay a premium for a lesser version at a restaurant? But perhaps the most concerning part is food safety. We have all heard about the massive lettuce and salad green recalls on the news, affecting millions of people. When you order a salad made with less than prime ingredients, you're taking an unnecessary gamble. All right, from dishes that might be using leftovers, let's switch gears to a beloved American comfort food. This next one isn't about safety risks, but about guaranteed disappointment. It's a staple of Southern cooking that one chef says she's the undisputed queen of, and she never orders it out. Any guesses?
3. Biscuits. Did you guess it? That classic Southern comfort food our top chef won't touch in a restaurant. Coming in at number 3, it's the humble yet oh so hard to get right biscuit. Now the reason for this one is completely different. This isn't about old ingredients or safety scares. This is about quality, pride, and avoiding guaranteed disappointment. And when it comes to biscuits, Chef Renee Johnson in Oakland, California, considers herself royalty. She says, and you have to love this, "I am the undisputed queen of biscuit makers, and I can't set myself up like that." She explains that 9 times out of 10, ordering biscuits just makes her mad. And here's her killer description. She asks, "Did I just bite into a dry, gummy paper towel?" For experts like her who have perfected their craft, the restaurant version simply can't compare. And let's be honest, we've all had that dry, crumbly, sad restaurant biscuit before, haven't we? It's a guaranteed disappointment. So the verdict from the pros? Save the biscuit tasting for your own kitchen or a true specialty bakery where they put their heart and soul into it. Okay, so from a simple classic that's often done poorly, we're now jumping to the other end of the spectrum. Dishes that are often too complicated for their own good. This next category became hugely popular in the 90s and can sometimes feel like the kitchen threw 5 different cookbooks into a blender. Stay tuned.
4. Fusion dishes. All right, we've arrived at that cookbooks in a blender category. Coming in at number 4, our chefs advise you to be wary of fusion dishes. The concept exploded in the 1990s. The idea was to mash up techniques and flavors from different culinary cultures to create something brand new. Sometimes it worked, and sometimes it really didn't. When it works, it's brilliant. Case in point, the cronut, that genius combination of a French croissant and an American donut. But on the other side of that coin, for every successful cronut, you get things like the sushi burrito or the ramen burger. Ideas that sound unique on paper, but in reality can just be plain confusing. Chef Peter Hay from Meili in Brooklyn sums up the problem perfectly. He says these complicated dishes sound exciting on the menu, but they rarely deliver on 2 key things, balance and depth. He says, and I'm quoting here, "I'd rather have one cuisine done well than a confusing mix of flavors that feels like it's trying too hard." Trying too hard. That's the key phrase. A dish should feel harmonious, not like a battle of flavors on your plate. So the chef's advice, if a dish on the menu feels more like a gimmick than a thoughtful combination, it's probably best to stick with something the kitchen truly specializes in. All right, from the overly conceptual, let's move to something very specific that's on almost every menu. This next category is a big one, and it's all about skill and sourcing. It's a food that, when cooked perfectly, is a work of art. But one chef says, more often than not, he finds it underwhelming and avoids it entirely. We're talking about
Number 5. Cooked or farmed fish. The dish we're talking about, coming in at number 5, is a big one. Cooked fish. And according to our chefs, the problem here is twofold. It's about skill and it's about sourcing. First, let's talk about skill. Chef Chaz Lindsay in Mississippi calls properly cooking fish an art form. He considers it one of the most difficult skills to master in the kitchen. The line between a moist, flaky, melt-in-your-mouth piece of fish and a dry, underwhelming disaster is razor thin, sometimes a matter of seconds. Unless the restaurant is known for its seafood, it's a gamble. But even with the most skillful chef, the dish is only as good as the ingredient. That brings us to sourcing. Chef Megan Keno from Fox's Next Level Chef says she sees the words farm-raised fish as a big red flag. She specifically points to tilapia. It's popular because it's cheap, but it's often avoided by chefs because it can be lacking in flavor and quality compared to sustainable, wild-caught fish. So what's the golden rule here? Chef William Ike sums it up perfectly. He avoids all fish dishes unless the fish is locally sourced or the restaurant has a spotless reputation. So when it comes to fish, the stakes are high. You need a skilled chef and a high-quality, trustworthy source. If you have doubts about either, it's best to steer clear. All right, from a dinner staple to a brunch classic. This next dish is beloved by millions, but it contains a sauce so temperamental and risky that many chefs, including the legendary Anthonybourdain, have warned against it. We're talking about a potential case of food poisoning hiding in plain sight. What could it be?
6. Eggs Benedict. The brunch classic with that risky sauce that even Anthony Bourdain warned against. Taking the number 6 spot on our list, it's Eggs Benedict. It looks incredible, but the hero and the villain of this dish is the same ingredient, that rich, creamy hollandaise sauce. Chef Clifton Dickerson from the prestigious Auguste Escoffier School of Culinary Arts explains that the problem is that hollandaise sauce is incredibly temperamental, especially during a busy brunch rush. If it's not made to order or held at the perfect temperature, you can easily end up with a broken sauce, or worse, a batch that was made hours ago and has just been sitting. But the bigger issue isn't just disappointment, it's danger. Hollandaise is essentially an emulsion of butter and raw egg yolks. If that pot of sauce isn't kept at a precise temperature, not hot enough to cook the egg, but warm enough to prevent bacteria, it becomes the perfect breeding ground for salmonella. That is food poisoning hiding in plain sight. This isn't a new concern. The late, great Anthony Bourdain famously called brunch hollandaise a hell broth of bacteria and warned people never to order it. So unless you're at a high-end restaurant you absolutely trust to make that sauce fresh to order, it's a risk that's just not worth taking for brunch. Okay, from a timeless classic with a hidden danger, our next point takes us straight into the modern world of social media. We're talking about those over-the-top, colorful dishes that seem designed more for an Instagram photo than for your plate. Are they ever worth it? Let's find out.
If you're still watching and finding these details valuable, I'd really appreciate it if you'd leave the number 6 in the comments below, just to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you'll consider subscribing and ringing that bell so you don't miss a thing. Your support is what allows us to keep creating helpful content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's get back to it. 7. Trending foods. At number 7, we have a category that covers everything blowing up on your social media feed. Trending foods. You know the ones. The burgers stacked so high you could never actually bite them. The milkshakes that look like an explosion at a candy factory. Anything served on a board. They look great in a picture, but our chefs have a simple rule. As Chef Clifton Dickerson says, if a dish looks like it was made more for Instagram than for eating, it's a hard pass. Chef Jorge Dionisio agrees. He says, I want to taste the ingredient, not just the concept. And that's the problem.
When the focus of a dish is all about shock value and being eye-catching, the flavor, texture, and quality of the ingredients often take a back seat. It's all style over substance. You're paying a premium for a dish that was optimized for a social media algorithm, not for your palate. So the next time you see one of those crazy dishes on the menu, ask yourself, do I want a great meal or just a great photo? The chefs would always choose the former. From the ultra-modern, we now go to a cuisine that demands deep respect for tradition and technique. This next food, when done right, is a sublime experience. But one classically trained chef says he never orders it unless he knows and respects the person making it.
8. Sushi. Coming in at number 8 is a worldwide favorite, sushi. But this warning comes from someone who truly knows his craft. Chef Jorge Dionisio is a classically trained Edomae sushi chef who competed in the World Sushi Cup. And he says he never orders sushi unless he knows and respects the chef. Why such a high standard? He explains, I'm very particular about how fish is handled, aged, and presented. If those elements aren't respected, the experience can be disappointing. Sushi is so much more than just putting raw fish on rice. It's an art. The proper aging of the fish to bring out its flavor, the temperature and texture of the rice, it all matters. But even if you're not an expert, there are some major red flags you should look out for. Red flag number 1, your nose. A high-quality sushi restaurant should never smell overwhelmingly fishy. It should smell faintly of cucumber or watermelon, which is the scent of incredibly fresh seafood. A fishy smell means old fish. Red flag number 2, the rice. The sushi rice should be slightly warm, tender, and the grains should be distinct. If it's cold, dry, or clumpy, it's a sign it was made long ago and is past its prime. Bad sushi isn't just disappointing, it can make you seriously ill. So take it from the experts. Be very selective where you eat your sushi. All right, from a dish that requires masterful delicacy and technique, we're moving to a food that's seen as the pinnacle of celebration and special occasions. Incredibly, one chef says he almost never orders it. 9. Steak. That special occasion meal that one chef almost never orders? You might not believe this one. At number 9, we have steak. I know. Steak? It's the classic choice for a birthday, an anniversary, or a big promotion. It's the ultimate treat-yourself meal. But for a trained chef, it often comes down to a simple calculation of value for money. Chef Luc Schaefer, an instructor at the Auguste Escoffier School of Culinary Arts, puts it very clearly. He says, I never order steaks when I dine out. His reason? I can cook a darn fine steak at home. Why spend a huge markup for something that's not going to be exponentially better than what I can do? It's a great point. You're paying a premium restaurant price for a skill you may have already mastered yourself. Now, he does make an exception, A5 Wagyu. But as he says, that's not really a steak, that's an experience. It's something you can't easily replicate. And his logic is something we can all learn from. Ordering steak can be a safe choice, but sometimes it means you're missing out on the more creative, unique dishes that a restaurant's kitchen truly excels at, things you can't easily make at home. Speaking of safe choices on the menu, our next item is perhaps the most common protein ordered in America. It's on every menu, from casual diners to fine dining. But our chefs argue that's exactly the problem. All too often, it's boring, overcooked, and a wasted opportunity. You guessed it, we're talking about chicken.
10. Chicken. Yep, that safe protein we were talking about. At number 10, it's chicken. More specifically, the chicken breast.
Chef Luke Schaefer, who just told us to make our steaks at home, feels the same way about chicken. He says the odds are high that you'll just get a breast that is sawdust dry. But the issue goes deeper than just a single overcooked piece of meat. Chef Justin Robinson sums it up perfectly. If I feel like I could have made it at home, it would be a wasted dining experience. That's the key. Why pay restaurant prices for one of the most basic, least indulgent proteins you eat at home all the time? He says when he dines out, he wants flavor, technique, and a little risk. A simple chicken breast rarely delivers that. But what if you're really craving chicken? The chefs have a great tip. Chef Susan Urish advises skip the breast and opt for a chicken thigh. The thigh will always offer more flavor and moisture, and it allows a chef to show off more skill. So next time, be brave, skip the safe chicken choice, and try something more interesting on the menu. Your dining experience will be much better for it. From one often bland dish to another, this next one is a creamy, comforting Italian-American classic that you'll find on every pasta menu. But one chef says there are so many better ways to enjoy pasta, and this rich, heavy sauce isn't one of them. We're getting saucy with number 11.
11. Alfredo. That creamy, comforting pasta dish we were just talking about? At number 11, the chefs say you might want to skip the Alfredo. Now, this isn't about safety or being a bad value. For chefs like Susan Urish, it's about culinary potential. She feels there are so many more elegant ways to elevate pasta, and drowning it in a heavy, fatty sauce often isn't the best way. But the most fascinating reason chefs are wary of Alfredo has to do with a secret. The Alfredo you're eating in most American restaurants is likely not authentic Alfredo at all. In the U.S., it's a heavy sauce loaded with butter, Parmesan, and lots of heavy cream. But the original, authentic fettuccine Alfredo, invented in Rome in 1908, contains zero cream. That's right, no cream. The magic is in emulsifying butter, finely grated Parmesan, and starchy pasta water to create a silky, delicate sauce that just clings to the noodles. It's much more elegant. The story goes that Chef Alfredo D'Alilio created it to tempt his wife to eat again after the birth of their child. It was a dish made of love, not a calorie bomb. So the American version is often a heavy, one-dimensional cream sauce that chefs find uninspiring. Next time, look for more interesting and balanced pasta dishes on the menu. Speaking of dishes that might not be what they seem, our next item has a very vague name, and there's a good reason for it. Chefs warn that when you see this on a menu, it could be a delicious cut of meat, or it could just be the kitchen's clever way of selling you their scraps. Let's talk about the mystery of number 12.
12. Beef tips. That mysterious dish that could be delicious or could just be kitchen scraps? At number 12, we're talking about beef tips. Have you ever wondered what exactly a beef tip is? A tip from what part of the cow? Well, that's the problem. There's no official definition. While it could be tender, bite-sized pieces from a quality cut like a tenderloin, it could also be, well, anything else. Chef Christopher Deal gets straight to the point. He says he would never order any dish made with beef tips because he knows it can be an outlet for scraps. It's often not a dish planned with intention, but rather a way to use up the trimmings and offcuts from the more expensive steaks on the menu. As he says, he doesn't want to pay for an entree that was an afterthought. So, while you might get lucky and get some tender, delicious morsels, you're more likely paying a premium for the butcher's leftovers. It's a gamble that chefs aren't willing to take.
From dishes made of leftover ingredients, we now turn to dishes made with the wrong ingredients. Our next point isn't about a specific dish, but a whole category of them that ignore one of the most fundamental rules of great cooking. It's a simple mistake that can guarantee a less flavorful meal. Let's discuss this at number 13.
If you're still watching and finding these details valuable, I'd really appreciate it if you'd leave the number 12 in the comments below just to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you'll consider subscribing and ringing that bell so you don't miss a thing. Your support is what allows us to keep creating helpful content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's get back to it.
13. Out-of-season dishes. At number 13, we have a rule more than a dish. Avoid out-of-season dishes. Chef Yu Shimano from Restaurant Yu in Brooklyn puts it beautifully. I tend not to order dishes that ignore the season. If I'm going out to eat, I want to enjoy ingredients that are at their best at that moment. This is one of the simplest secrets of great cuisine. The best ingredients are the ones that are in season and grown locally. A peach in July is always going to taste better than a peach in January. Asparagus in the spring has a flavor that imported asparagus in the fall can never match. When a restaurant features an out-of-season dish, it means that produce had to travel a very long way, was likely picked before it was ripe, and may have been sitting in cold storage. All of that diminishes the flavor. On the other hand, when a chef cooks with the seasons, it shows they care about quality, they're supporting local producers, and they truly understand how to make ingredients shine. So what's the tip here? Look at the specials or the items marked locally sourced. That's usually where you'll find the freshest, most authentic flavors. Eat the way nature intended. Finally, we've arrived at number 14. After all the advice about ingredients, technique, and value, this last point is an overarching philosophy. It's about the very purpose of dining out. Let's finish our list. Number 14. Unhealthy food. And at our final spot, number 14, it isn't one specific dish, but a mindset. Chefs avoid processed or unhealthy food. This might seem obvious, but it goes deeper than you think. When a chef dines out, they are looking for craftsmanship. Chef Mawa McQueen says it perfectly. I never order anything processed or pre-made. I believe food should nourish you, not weigh you down. If I see a dish that screams convenience instead of craft, I pass. Chefs have a trained eye for when a restaurant is cutting corners. A sauce that came out of a jar, a dessert that was bought frozen, a soup that came out of a bag. They know the work that goes into making food from scratch, and that's what they expect when they pay for a meal. So what's the final lesson for all of us? When you go out to eat, it's a chance to experience something special. Look for the dishes that showcase care, skill, and fresh, quality ingredients. Use this list not to be scared, but to be smarter. Ask questions, be observant, and choose the dishes that will truly nourish and delight you. Thank you for joining us on this look behind the kitchen curtain. Let us know in the comments which dish on this list surprised you the most. Until next time, happy dining!